All right, driving the economy, consumer spending continues to spike and did so in the third quarter, partially thanks to the president's tax cuts. Businesses, though, are curbing their enthusiasm, as the Wall Street Journal headline put it this morning. David McIntosh is with us from the Club for Growth, where he's president, to talk more about this. It's good to see you, David. I think it is interesting, right? Because one of the things that's driven the stock market and the economy is the tax cuts. There's not much dispute necessarily about that. But about the future, there's this question of, are the best times over? And if businesses aren't spending as much as they were, then I guess the answer is maybe. What do you make of it?
Yes. The key is certainty for businesses to be able to continue to deploy the capital they now have back into the marketplace. Consumers spend on a cash basis, so they see their take-home pay going up because of that. There really is a middle-class tax cut that was part of that, and they're spending. Businesses, they plan out ahead on a quarterly or yearly basis, and what they heard in the last election was maybe the Democrats will try to repeal the tax cuts.
Right.
So they don't know for certain they're going to be there 1, 2, 3 years out in the future, even though in the law they're a permanent tax cut. So the most important thing that, frankly, the Republican Senate and the president need to do is say, we will reject any effort to try to repeal those tax cuts. You can plan on them and go forward and invest based on them.
Because right now, and we were showing this Duke University survey on the screen while you were speaking, if you talk to chief financial officers, which Duke did, they found that they expect capital spending to grow 5.7% over the next 12 months. That's versus 11% in the first quarter of this year. So you see the back half of those charts, things are slowing down. Now, we're having a debate over what to do next on taxes. And the president at that crazy news conference the other day, one of the things that actually came up, and our own Blake Berman brought it up, was what to do about taxes. And, President Trump hinted that he might be willing to make some sort of an adjustment, as he put it, on the corporate side in order to get a middle-class tax cut. That would kind of work against this a little bit. Do you think that's worthwhile, making that adjustment or giving in on business taxes?
No, I think that would be a bad trade-off. I hope what the president says is corporate taxes are what they are. I wanted them lower, so if you want to adjust them, lower them. I don't think that'll happen. But then hammer the Democrats and say, you all campaigned on a middle-class tax cut. I don't need to give up the corporate tax cut. You owe it to the American people to join me in passing and making that permanent. I
assume they'll come back, ironically enough, because Democrats have been accused over the years of spending too much. But at this time, I'm sure they'll come back and say, well, what about the deficit?
That's right, and your answer is the right one. The spending side of the equation is where, frankly, both parties in Congress have failed utterly, and somebody needs to start leading and saying, to reduce the deficit, we need to reduce the spending.
Well, you can't have both then, right? I mean, because then you get in a situation where if you're focused on cutting the deficit, you're not so much focused on tax relief, and then you get into the question of how's the economy growing. So we could be looking at an economy 2019 going into 2020 that's slowing, right? Are you one of those people that started to worry about recession, or?
I think if they don't do something about slowing the rate of spending increases, then there's going to be pressure for tax increases, and that would bring to a halt the economic growth. The other thing is on the trade side, the president has used tariffs, which are another form of taxes, to force countries to come to the table. But now that we have the North American agreement, he ought to lift the tariffs on steel and aluminum. That'll be a boost to the auto industry and big sectors in the manufacturing side.
He might do that, but what about then there's China, which it doesn't seem like he's moving anytime soon on. Could be wrong, of course, but I assume you're encouraging him to cut a deal with China?
Yeah, I was encouraged when Larry Kudlow said that it's on the table. But clean up the North American side. That'll help us with the auto industry and a lot of manufacturers, and then bring pressure on China.
Yep, time frame is the thing to watch there, especially for markets. Good to see you, David. Thanks for coming on today.
Good to see you.
We appreciate it.